Good morning, good afternoon, good night. I offer whatever suits your time zone. It's always a pleasure having you guys around. Please, if you're in the chat, do let me know if you can hear me. Yes, and the lineup is out, and it's pretty much what people anticipated it will be. Except I think the biggest surprise there is the exclusion of Romelu Lukaku, whom I think most people thought would start this game, but he is not there. I think Tuchel, if you ask me, I'd say he prefers to go for fluidity rather than power, and I think you could argue that's the best option in this game. Because I think West Ham were well equipped to match us in terms of Lukaku's power in the defense. Although Angelo Ogbonna is not on the pitch, I think they have more than enough to match us there. And if you can hear me, I'm going to put the link in the chat. Thank you very much, and thank you for indicating that you can hear me. Nice to see the Queen herself in the chat. Street Beer, it's always a pleasure to have you. And my friend Bobby Fairview. Bobby, always a pleasure to have you. And we're going to keep talking until maybe someone else gets the chance to join the chat so we can analyze the lineup today. I'll put the link in the chat. So if you have time, you can jump in so we can talk about it. Not too many surprises there. I expected Ruben Loftus-Cheek to keep his place, and he did. I expected Jorginho to keep his place, and he did. The back line is just as expected. It's just the surprise is the exclusion of Lukaku. Yeah, it's going to be a very physical game. I'm seeing Michail Antonio is the guy I dread the most from the West Ham's lineup. It's going to be a. There you go, guys. I'm going to put the link in the chart. Yeah, let me read the chat while I wait to see if anybody has the time to join me to talk to the fans. Almighty Blues. Okay, this is Trivia saying hello to my friend Ankit. And Ankit says, I am out now and hopefully should be back in time for the start of the game. Was hoping Lukaku starts, but we should be good. I'd say, yeah, I'd argue that I truthfully do prefer fluidity over power because we've learned that in the absence of Lukaku, isn't there a concern about whether Havertz and Ziyech play well together? You could argue that, but I think, let me check. Have they actually played together in the absence of Lukaku? I do not remember, but I think with both of them on the pitch, I think we have fluidity, we have creativity, and we've seen in the previous games that Ziyech has played. He's starting to come into his place. We're starting to see that Ziyech that we paid the money for. We're starting to see him orchestrate great passes, or you could call it defense splitting passes. So I don't think that's an issue. And also, he's only one of the few guys that can shoot from outside the 18. With only a few people in our team could do that. And Ziyech is one of those guys. I think if you ask me, I'd say he's one of the best in terms of taking shots outside of the 18. If you're talking about the Chelsea 11, so it's not a concern for me. I'd say that's a well-balanced team. As it is right now, if you ask me, I'd say while Kai Havertz may not get a goal, he's so intelligent in his play that he lures players out, and if he sees spaces, he utilizes quite well. And when there's none, he can lure the opposition defenders to the side. That is to create space for his teammates, and I think that's what he does very well. If you ask me, I'd say, yeah, I'm not really concerned. It's a well-balanced front three, given Mount's energy, and he could score also. I think Mount, we need him there because these guys are going to press us aggressively. So we need to counter them with the strategy they want to counter us. And their formation, as you can see, is 3-4-2-1. I think it wasn't. They usually don't play like this. I think they're trying to overload the midfield to make it a bit difficult for us. But I think we will overcome. I'm happy to see that Jorginho is back. Happy to see Loftus-Cheek is in the lineup. But if you ask me, I'd say this is the kind of game where Ngolo Kante thrives, where we have him to always win the second balls for us and also read the game quite well and help us stop opposition attacks. So I'm going to continue reading the comments in the chat. Hopefully somebody else will find time to join me so we can debate the lineup. Just hope Rice is thinking of his future. Yeah, that's a funny one. If he's really thinking about joining Chelsea, that possibly could be a distraction, if you want to say it that way, or possibly could be a bad thing in the sense that he would want to show us that is his best, be at his best. So we're thinking about going to get him as soon as possible. Hopefully he doesn't have a good game today. West Ham changing system surprises me. Yeah, because if you look at our game against Watford, we were startled from the whole of first half of the game against Watford at the Vicarage Road. we seemed confused. It just seemed as if we don't know what we were doing because they overloaded the midfield area. That our midfielders, we missed Jorginho that day, who could have, as a specialized register, I'd argue if they had been on the pitch on that day, would have been a bit different. But we were not allowed to play our game. That we were lucky to even get away with a win on that day. So, yeah, I think changing system is just something they do to startle us because they know Tuchel he does study teams, so the change will cost us a bit of a problem, probably from the first 15 minutes to 20 minutes, and hopefully Tuchel does something in time so that we don't find it difficult playing our game. Ziyech was good last game, so want a Havertz goal though. Yeah, Ziyech has been good, not just in the last game, I think past 4 games he's played, you could say he's been brilliant. He's done quite well, I think. And also one thing I noticed about Ziyech is that he's starting to contribute defensively. He's starting to become a bit more physical than he was when we signed him. And I think he's become a better player at Chelsea right now. And I think he's starting to create more chances. He's starting to contribute defensively. He's starting to press very well. I mean, he's done quite well for himself, and even Tuchel himself said it during his press conference that he likes him. He likes what he sees in Hakim Ziyech, and long may that continue because he's such a fine player and he brings something different to the table. And that's why it surprises me why most people in the Chelsea fan base are calling for the club to sell him. I don't think that will happen because the club understands what a talent he is. And all he needs is just time. And I think Tuchel plays him in the position where he wants. And again, one thing about Ziyech is that if you have him on the pitch, always get him involved in the play. And if you do that, he will do some damage to the opponent. Yes, RLC will control the midfield. I think he's not going to be the guy to sit back, except if Tuchel sees him as the guy, as a most physical attribute to deal with the, you can say, the physicality of the West Ham midfield. But I don't see, the West Ham doesn't have so much physicality in the midfield. I think Rice is physical, but I think Jorginho can deal with Rice. I think Loftus-Cheek will be the one to even venture forward even more while Jorginho sit back a bit to control the tempo of the game and make sure we're able to play our game. Yeah, yes, they're just matching us. Yeah, 3-4-2-1. Yeah, 3-4-2-1. Yes, yeah, like for like. Yeah, to cause us problems. I think we're better suited for that system because it's a system we've been playing all season, or you could argue since the arrival of Tuchel. So to them, I think they'll be the one to struggle to execute the system because they don't play it always. We play the system. We've been playing it since Tuchel joined us. So it will be easier for us to implement than West Ham. So we'll see what happens. As my mommy says, luck is made not given. Yep, I agree. Should Cho feel unlucky about losing his place? That is one difficult one for me. I think most people don't seem to understand Cho's contributions in this team. Even though he's missed some, you could call it glaring chances you'd think that a fine finisher will put away. But that is nothing because I don't think most people in the Chelsea fan base sees Cho's creativity, his direct style of play, how he takes some plays. He's one of few guys in our team that usually always wants to take on opposition players. He is not scared of taking on opposition players, and he makes good runs. He times his runs very well that you hardly catch him offside, and he creates chances too. He can whip in great crosses. I don't know why. Maybe he's being rested because he's played a few games, and playing 90 minutes playing 90 minutes for about almost a few of the games that he was taken off. It's just in the 70th minute or 80th minute. So, and maybe he needs a rest. And the players on the pitch are quite capable, but I'd rather play him because he's developed a great chemistry with Kai Havertz in the midfield, and that's why we've seen our team play with such fluidity that, I mean, you could argue that he should have kept his place. I wouldn't say he's lost his place. I would just say maybe he's being rested because he's been in brilliant form for us. Although he hasn't scored as much goals I would want to see him score, you could argue that he's been great. So he's probably being rested because the games in this festive period are coming in thick and fast. So if we don't rest players, then we may end up having so many other players getting injured, and then that becomes a problem. So if we rest players and then they be ready for the next game, and the players that play today rest as we play the next game, and that's important to understand. Streetbear says, just hope he brings that strong left foot. He always comes with it. It's just at the time it seemed as if he's not, he's always confident. It's just a little bit, adjustment to his shots and passes, and then he will be perfect. So many games coming up. Yeah, I think, that's why I argue that Cho is probably being rested. It's not like he's lost his place because he's one of the best players we have in that position at this point. Okay, I'll be waiting for you, brother. Caleb, if you can hear me, I'm not really seeing the connect add button. That means your connection is poor or something. I agree. We will play the way we have. They are new, I should say, to this system. Yeah, they are very much new to this system. So they're the ones creating problem to themselves. Please share the stream. Yes, please do that for me. Listen to the queen of all streams herself. She says, share the stream. And if you're here, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and more importantly, don't forget to click on the bell notification button, because the pre-game show on Chelsea Perspective has become a tradition, and it holds before every Chelsea game. It starts 1 hour before Chelsea game and ends around 10 minutes or 5 minutes before kickoff. So yeah, please do share, and thank you very much, the Queen Street Beer, for saying that. And again, I have to recognize the presence of everybody in the chat. Almighty Blues FC, my good friend Street Beer, the Queen herself, and Bobby Fairview, always here supporting the channel. I just want to let you know that I appreciate you all. And Just Viola herself, my good friend, who advised me to always laugh and not to be serious all the time. And I hope I'm doing you proud, because I practice quite a lot to try to laugh while I am on the stream. So now let's continue reading the questions. Or what would have been your front three for this game? Okay, here's the thing. I'm torn between fielding Lukaku and also, going ahead with the team that scored a lot of goals, created a lot of chances in the absence of Lukaku and Timo Werner, which was why I wasn't happy that Timo Werner started the game against Manchester United. It just seemed as if his presence, dislodged that great chemistry that we've had in the team before his return from injury. So I'd say I'd go with fluidity rather than power, because if you say power, if you think about going with power in this game, I think West Ham are well equipped to match us power for power, and that becomes an issue. And if you look at the games where Lukaku played, Reece James doesn't venture forward that much. Whenever Lukaku is on the pitch, it just seems as if Reece James's role is limited to just putting in the crosses for Lukaku to finish. So, but in the absence of Lukaku, James ventures forward even more, and you see him more often in the box because we have that fluidity. Everybody can score. We're not looking for a focal point to cross the ball on the carpet or in the air to finish. So I'd go with this. I'll go with a front. I'll say front three without Lukaku, but I'd keep Cho. And sorry, I love Mason Mount. I'd keep Cho and not Mount in this game because we need fluidity, and that beautiful football, one-touch play, quick plays that we've seen, high-octane football, if you like, that we saw in the absence of Lukaku. So, yeah, I wouldn't start Lukaku. And no, nothing against him. He's a fine player, and I'm telling you the truth. Yes, JVK Jos Viola, nice to always have you around, and I appreciate your support. Yes, you're doing me proud. Thank you. That is nice to see. I will keep smiling for you. Tried and tested front three, if you ask me. Exactly. Tried and tested front three. In the absence of Lukaku, we discovered that what the issue we had last season before the signing of Lukaku, it wasn't that we weren't creating chances. We created a lot of chances last season, but the issue we had last season was just not putting away those chances. So the signing of Lukaku, it's not easy. One thing people forget is this: signing a player is the first step to having that player in the team. The other step is to integrate the player in the team and get the player firing. So it will take some adjustment to the way we play to get Lukaku to start firing on all cylinders, just like he did at Inter Milan. So, like I said before, if you were listening, when Lukaku wasn't injured, it seemed as if Reece James's role in the team and Ben Chilwell's role in the team was just to find space and then whipping crosses for Lukaku to fight for. And we had more long balls when Lukaku was available before he got injured. But in his absence, you see Ben Chilwell and Reece James and all these guys, play in a very dynamic way that your opponents get confused easily and not sure who's going to be there and who's going to shoot. So great point right there. If we played a crossing game, I'd have Lukaku. He's just deadly. That is the truth. But then again, we must consider how well we've done in his absence. And this is a team game. And they say if it's not broken, don't fix it. And that again brings me back to why I was so pissed that Timo Werner came in played against Manchester United. It seemed as if he cost us. He's one of the reasons why we struggle to score, because 1v1 he struggles to do something good with the ball. Yeah, I miss Chile quite a lot. Chile, who, he's developed great chemistry with his teammates in the defense, in the attack, in the midfield, and it drifts in also to support play in the midfield. He's not just always standing on the flanks. Yeah, I do miss him, and you can see that yourself in the games that we played in his absence. Even opponent content creators, if you watch them, they knew that we were going to struggle in the absence of Ben Chilwell, because he's been brilliant for us, you could argue. And I think he's had how many goals this season so far? 3 goals or so. And he's been in great form for club and country. So we do miss him. And that, to me, as some people argue, is the truth. We may need to sign another left wing back in the January period, except if we have any player in the academy who's good enough that can come help us go through this festive period and not struggle, because Alonso seemed to have lost form. He in the games he's played in the absence of Ben Chilwell, he's done an okay job. Defensively, he's done good, but he's not Ben Chilwell by any means. Yeah, Reece should be around, I think around 5 goals or so. 4 goals, yeah, I think so. And 5 assists, or 4 assists also. Lukaku will come in later in the second half, but Werner is not even on the bench. I don't blame Tuchel for leaving him out entirely because he was awful against Manchester United, I must say. So I'm not surprised that he's not on the bench. I think he needs to go, rethink his form and maybe do something about it. As some people has argued, my Nigerian friends has argued that he needs deliverance. He needs prayers, to change for things to turn around for him because we've been waiting for that to happen for a long time now, and it hasn't happened. For Reece James, I think we can actually look at it here. I'm using, by the way, must say, I'm using FODMOB. They're not paying me. It's just I like their app. It has a window version, and you can download the application on your phone, whether you're using an iPhone or Android. It's a great app, so I use them. I think we can look at Reece James' statistics. Where do we see that right now?
Hello, brother. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Great. Sorry to be late, but yes, definitely isn't a lot of changes I see in the West Ham team, especially, right, as in terms of the setup and everything.
Yeah. So look at it here. Reece James has had 4 goals, 4 assists in 10 matches, and he's been good. That's brilliant to see.
You know what?
Yeah.
That is the silver lining, because I think Reece James, like, really, he has been a spark in terms of attack, and that's like strange to say itself, but really, he's
Yes.
been a spark in the last few games. But I have to kind of, I don't want to kind of sound like I'm kind of negative about this, but the fact that he's coming back from an injury, whether it be a slight injury or whatever, needs to be considered. And honestly, I can see him kind of getting into the game. So I'm hopeful that Alonso, gives a little bit more than what he did, I think, in the first half of Watford. The second half of Watford, he was quite good, to be honest. But yeah, first half, he was like really, as an off the pace. So I think maybe first half, we'll want to try having some attacks at Alonso's end. And maybe until Reece James gets into the game and kind of gets that confidence going, what level he had, right? And that's what something is
Yes.
needed.
Yes.
So let's hope that he gets to that.
Yeah. And if you can, brother, can you please turn up your volume a little bit so that we can hear you very well? And again, thank you for that correction. Just Viola says Werner is on the bench. Even on the bench shows that he's not, it's not quite in the level, in the measure of form that Tuchel would want him to be. So yeah, let's start from the front three, which is where Tuchel he made some changes that weren't expected, like Kai Havertz for Romelu Lukaku. What do you think?
See, as in looking at West Ham's level, right? As in terms of the setup, in fact, right? In hindsight, I think it'll probably work in Chelsea's favor, because imagine Lukaku like against the three defenders of West Ham, plus obviously the wing back. He'll probably play five at the back, right? And that's a possibility. So with our floating forwards, that is something which will only kind of be more difficult for West Ham. You know what I mean? So I know initially, even I was kind of, I mentioned in the chat, I was disappointed not to see Lukaku starting. But at the end of the day, I think with Zuma being there, I know Zuma is excellent, and we know what his capabilities are in terms of what his attributes are. But I think in terms of floating forwards, etc., I think Zuma, we know that he's a little bit, circumspect. Like, that's something that maybe Havertz can, make use of. What do you think?
I mean, that's a great argument right there. I think, like I argued, it was. I mean, the absence of Lukaku for me is a surprise. Why that is, I also I prefer fluidity over power, because you could argue if we try to approach this game with power, West Ham are capable of matching us that like for like, and it's been their style, So I think they do better for us if our aim was to like muscle them. I don't think that's possible. And I would let's start from let's just again. I'd rather have Cho on the pitch. I must let you know. I have nothing against Mount. His industry is great, but they say if it's not broken down, fix it. But then again, if you look at things, you could argue that Cho is been arrested because he's played quite a few games, and we have a lot of games. The games are coming in thick and fast at this point, so we need to rest players because they're not machines; they're humans. after all. But that's, by the way. Let's start from the back line, Ankit. Is there anything you
Sure.
would have done differently if you were Thomas Tuchel, the back three?
I'm actually very glad that Christensen is playing. So that kind of tells me, unlike recent games, Christensen is being trusted upon, and I'm hoping that the contract issues and so on and so forth are minor issues, and those are sorted. Because trust me,
Yeah.
like I don't know, we've been there. Like being a 25-year-old, you have those kind of things in terms of career aspirations kind of going in your head. You're not able to focus as much, be it football, any field that you are in, right? And
Hmm.
Christensen, especially because of the fact that he is a Chelsea academy lad. I know he was bought, but after all these years, I know that there'll be a very difficult decision for Christensen, and I'm hoping that he has finally, him and obviously his, I think his family members, if I'm not wrong, are his representatives himself. So them are kind of convinced now, and his mind is on the pitch. Because I was actually tipping Aspilicueta, as you might have seen in my preview. Like Aspilicueta brings the experience with of course Reece James coming back from injury. I was thinking like maybe Aspilicueta and Reece James kind of overlap with each other because of the fact that the guy is coming back from injury, James that is. And maybe Aspilicueta can provide the crosses, but that was if Lukaku was there, right? So now that Lukaku is not there, I think I'm happy with Christensen being there, because I think we are not going to play the crossing game as much compared to when Lukaku would have been there. And of course, I think no one I think can argue versus Silva and Rudiger. I'm just hoping which will be that game when Rudiger gets a rest. I think maybe the Zenit game, but that'll be very interesting to see. As in, he needs some rest as well, right? At some point.
Here's the thing for me for that back line, because we already have a lengthy injury list, if you like. I don't think it's wise to risk Andreas Christensen and Thiago Silva in the same game, given that we have Reece James is also just recovered from his injury, although it was minor.
Yeah.
That's we're lucky there, if you ask me. Now, I'd rather move Rudiger to the position of Andreas Christensen, then bring in Malang Sarr, who's also physical. That if to me, if that lineup, or the lineup of Malang Sarr in the left centre back position, Thiago Silva in the middle, and to his right Antonio Rudiger, is a much more physical back three, capable of dealing with Michael Antonio, because I have to be honest, I dread that guy so much. I fear him. And it looks like whenever he plays against Chelsea, it just seems as if he takes his game to another level, because he can run, he can dribble, he's powerful, and you can bring him down easily. So I'd rather have Malang Sarr in the left centre back position. Or you could argue the last time he played for us, he wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
He looked a bit rusty, which is expected from a player
Yeah.
who's been in and out, who's not constant in the team. So I'd rather have Malang Sarr there, Thiago Silva in the middle, and Antonio Rudiger to the right. So that will be a lot of power in our back three to deal with Michael Antonio. But he's made this choice, and again, if we set it up that way, then we reduce the risk of having either Andreas Christensen or Thiago Silva
Silva.
getting injured, because if either of them gets injured, we have a problem there. I don't see another player in our team capable of leading the back line comfortably like the two of them can, especially in the absence of Trevor Chalobah, who's played there on some occasions. But that's by the way. Now, let's move to the midfield. But before we continue, look at the midfield. What do you think here in this statement on the screen? And also, I want to let the people in the chat know, if we have at least up to 15 people in the stream, then we'll do the live giveaway of the month, which is an authentic Chelsea polo shirt or the cash equivalent. It depends on what country you are in. And please, if you win it, you must have PayPal to get the cash, or you must have access to Western Union to get the cash equivalent if you cannot get the prize itself. But that's by the way. And please, if you haven't, smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and more importantly, do click on the bell notification button so you don't miss anything. And I'm seeing my brother and friend Steve Chelsea is back. Steve, it's always good to have you back. Welcome back, brother. So now I can moving on to the midfield. What do you think about the lineup there? Although it is pretty much what we expected, but how do you think they will operate?
Yeah, so I was actually interested in, like, again, I didn't check the West Ham lineup completely, but Lanzini is along with Pablo Fornals, is it? Or is it Bowen? Who's next to Lanzini of West Ham's attacking midfield? Who's there? I think it is Lanzini and Bowen, right?
Yeah, they have well, for the midfield for the West Ham double six.
Yes. No, no. West Ham attacking midfield behind Antonio, who's playing Lanzini,
Oh, they
who's the
have
other one? I'm not.
Lanzini and Bowen. Yeah,
Bowen, okay, yeah. So, so that's the thing, right? As in West Ham have basically, as in two really attacking players behind Antonio. So for us, basically in midfield, it was very crucial to have Jorginho there because he's a protector, as we know, and he's someone who'll kind of keep the ball, and of course nicking the ball from Jorginho is not easy. So I'm really firstly glad that Jorginho is back. Nothing against Saul. The guy is, definitely, not got enough chances, and the ones that he's got, let's be real, like he's not looked the part, right? Especially in Premier League. Now, it is interesting that obviously he's persisted with Alonso because we don't have any options, but that is the key. Like now our left side versus their right side. Imagine a Jared Bowen against Alonso. Like that actually scares me more than Antonio, to be very honest about it. So that is the only kind of question mark. But could we have played something else? Like imagine maybe Aspilicueta could have played left wing back, but no. As in, come on, like we have to go for 3 points. And I think Alonso in the second half did well against Watford. So for me, like at the end of the day, yeah, this is what I would have gone with, considering the injury situation, considering the form, etc. As in, we have to just deal with Bowen, and I think the person who would possibly be saving us is possibly Jorginho. I think I'm hoping that again he's back fit fully, and it's not just brought back early because he needs his legs. I know he's not the one who kind of would be running fast, etc. normally, but for me, like Loftus Cheek is not someone who's going to be fast as well. So I think Jorginho is the one who probably needs to read the game much more and be ready for those counters. And let's not remind ourselves, but the fact is that we all remember that touch that he had versus Jadon Sancho, and Jadon Sancho scored the goal, right? So those are moments that I'm actually wary of today with Bowen being there. Bowen has been red light form as well, right?
yeah, I agree with you, and I like the pairing, the double six there because Jorginho, even though when he joined Chelsea newly, he struggled with the defensive aspect of the game. But gradually, I think he's adjusted the way he plays. He reads the game very well, and he does more for us defensively than he's done in the past. I mean, and he's a bit more physical than he was when he joined us. And for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, he could argue he's in terms of defensive aspect of the game, he's the lesser of the two. Given that this is new, this position is new for him. He started playing in that position under Thomas Tuchel. Yeah, I think great explanation there, and looking at things from West Ham's aspect, talking about Lanzini and Bowen. So now let's look at the comment on the screen before we continue. It says that's from the Queen of all streams herself, Street Bear. Says, truly believe if Chelsea are still top in January, we will win the league. That is the truth. Usually, if you're able to hold it until after the Christmas period, usually it's I think usually teams that top the table after Christmas wins it. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, as in again, I might be wrong, but from my knowledge, again, last couple of decades, I don't remember Chelsea ever kind of losing it, after being top of the league in January. So we've done there again. There's always a first, but I think we should be able to. But the key is this Christmas period, right? I think it's always been the key, like especially for Chelsea in recent years. This Christmas period has not been good. Like it's not been perfect. Put it that way. Like the other teams have been perfect. Man City, and I have to say Liverpool. And yes, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Tottenham. I think I remember these are three teams which I can remember at the back of my mind who were top of the league in January in the last say 10, 15 years, but they have not won. But as far as Chelsea and I think even City are concerned, I remember that, and United as well, that we've gone on and won the league. So yeah, as in definitely with our squad. Of course, the African Cup of Nations is there, but apart from, I think again, I'm not expecting Ziyech to go. From reports, he may not be picked. So, only one person, only Mendy, obviously, who's a very important cog. I do expect us to basically, be good with the squad, and we should be, winning the league. Again, December is key for me.
Yeah, a great argument right there. Let's move straight to the left wing back position. Let's talk about Alonso a bit. And we already have he has a lawyer in the chart in the place of Jos Viola who say, guys, don't forget that Alonso
He's
was
right.
involved in both goals we scored at Watford. That is the truth. But let's talk about we see. If can you be truthful here? Were there a time? Were there times in the game, even in the two games that he's played in the absence of Ben Chilwell, that you were really concerned?
I'm still concerned. I'll be honest. So that's the thing about Alonso, right? So Alonso
Yes,
will get you, goal scoring moments. He will basically be able to get assists for fun, right? But his defensive liability kind of overpowers that. Unfortunately, that is a reality, especially when he doesn't have competition. I think probably Stab in the comments many a times has mentioned on your channel as well as mine. We know that when Alonso has basically competition, he kind of does well, right? He kind of is on the game. But the moment he knows that, hey, I'm the only one and I'm the show shot first choice left back, that is when you can see, not like he takes it easy, but it's subconscious almost, right? And you can see that him
there's
not
some
kind of
some like he drifts into a comfort zone and then not play
maybe
with
right.
that. You could say that is his form drops, and I think Stab did put it well. Stab did put it quite well, and
Yeah.
thank you for referencing that. I think he needs strong competition to be at his best. Whenever, like you put it again, I'm just sounding like a broken record, or maybe just repeating what you've said. Whenever he's the only guy in that position, he just seems to be relaxed and not putting more effort to do well for the team. So that's a great point right there. So yeah, I mean, why Alonso? He shoots very well and can get you goals, but defensively is he's always a suspect. And
Yeah.
but in the two games he's played, or three, I don't know, two games, right? He's done quite well in terms of the defensive aspect of the game. But although there were times that he was left wanting, that we were just lucky not to have considered goals from those, you know, opposition moves. But that's, by the
Yeah.
way, let's talk about this notion that the system masks Alonso's lack of defensive solidity. Is that true?
I don't think so, because even if he's a left back, I know like there's a lot of criticism when we talk about him being a left back in a four at the back situation. But honestly, like it's the same. Like whether he plays a left wing back or a left back, I would say even if when he plays a left wing back, he gets forward even more. So in a way that he's even more behind. To be honest, like for him, if he's left back, at least he's not kind of bombing on as much. So in a way that it protects his defensive liability. But as in it's probably in the mind, right? And we know that we are playing four in midfield, as in with him as a midfielder is what I'm counting. But at the end of the day, see, as in he needs to do both the jobs. But we know that he has an issue kind of in terms of pace, not pace, but just the turn of pace, right? As in he's not someone who can kind of switch and kind of run back quickly. Like he kind of takes that extra 2 seconds, and that is where probably the opposition attackers will definitely be on the alarm, especially Bowen. I think Sufa, like I think their right wing back Sufa, like he's generally a right back, but for me Sufa is very underrated. I know Ben Johnson has been playing right back for West Ham in recent weeks, but I would actually, if I was West Ham manager, I would have picked Sufal anyway. Like he is a brilliant crosser of the ball, and he can play ball as well. So again, Alonso is the person that I'm I'm still scared about. So I think that is one of the reasons why Mason Mount is continuing. Apart from obviously him being in top notch form back after the last game, but I think yeah, Mount and Alonso kind of sound better, and they probably have it in them to kind of Mount coming back and when Alonso attacks, but Hudson Odoi. is definitely not there in terms of defensive ability compared to
Yeah,
Mount.
here's my argument in terms of that notion that Tuchel has found a way to mask no the lack of defensive strength for Alonso, and that's the truth because you could argue that no the primary, I think I've said this like a million times in this show, that the primary role of our wing backs aren't to defend. If you look at in the absence of what's his name, when that is when we had that so delicious fluidity that I keep talking about and I won't stop talking about it. You hardly see Chilwell and Reece James at the back. You hardly see them at the back. So you could argue that the primary role isn't to defend, but to attack. Although they have defensive responsibilities, but we found a way to play that they're always at the opponent's area and hardly stays back. So, but that's, by the way, now, again, the concern remains, just as every other Chelsea players. Now, let's look at the two number 8. The pairing there, do you like it the way it is, or would you have done anything differently? I mean, why leave Cho out, given how well he's played in the past? Forget those, just calling him names because he missed the chance against Manchester United, forgetting that he's been in great form for us, and he's created a few chances. It's just that those that he created the chances for, they put them away. So what do you think?
See, I definitely hear you. That is a good point. Hudson Odoi maybe is a person who kind of opens it up, but I've gone on record. I think in the last stream that you had, Coachila, and of course, on my channel as well. Once Pulisic becomes 100% fit and in form, let's be honest, Pulisic would be over Hudson Odoi, even if Tuchel considers someone who kind of opens up the game more.
No, sorry, could you repeat that again?
So I said when Pulisic is 100% fit and in form, I would actually start Pulisic ahead of Hudson Odoi in terms of basically opening up the game and doing things differently. Because I think what Pulisic brings is much more directness in terms of scoring and shooting. He's the one who kind of runs, is at the end of balls. Ziyech on the other side is someone who pings balls, and I think Pulisic is a person who kind of is at the end of that and can score the goal. So even if you have to choose someone else, I would go for Pulisic.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and compared to Mount, again, the reason why Mount is again picked apart from obviously the defensive ability that Mount brings is the fact that Mount is a better finisher. He can take shots. It's a derby game after all. It is an early kickoff, so I think someone who could take shots from far. There might be a few nerves because West Ham are playing a new system. So I would actually back Tuchel here. And I would say that in this particular game, considering that Hudson Odoi did not finish as well in the recent games, and of course Mount in the very recent game has done tremendously well. These are all young chaps after all, right? I understand Hudson Odoi being dropped is not fair on his perspective as well, but I think Mount is just kind of edging Hudson Odoi in terms of defensive ability as well as taking shots, and the form kind of speaks for itself. When Mount is back in form, he's not number 19 in the Ballon d'Or just like that. I know that I don't consider Ballon d'Or and all that, but there is a reason to it. And I think when Mount is fit and is kind of in form, when Pulisic is fit and in form, they edge over Hudson Odoi because of their kind of ability to finish better. As in that's simply put.
Yeah, I mean, you've done quite a good job to convince me that. But honestly, yeah, for me, I think Cho starts for me. I'd rather have them both. Have Cho, the combo of Cho, Ziyech, and Pulisic on the pitch, because Pulisic, what I like the most about him is no matter where he plays, he gets in the opponent's box and he times his runs perfectly. And if you can get the ball to him when he's in the box, he puts them away. So I'd like to welcome Seed to the stream today. Seed, you're joining late, but they said lateness is greatness, so no worries. We still got a few minutes to get your input. How are you doing today, Seed?
I'm doing well, man. I didn't realize I was too jet lagged, but I thought I was.
Yeah, I know that's quite some travel. So yeah, you're supposed to get some rest.
Yeah, but yeah, it's good to be here. And I was just looking at the lineup, and man, it's not going to be an easy game because West Ham is
Why do
very
you think it's not going to be an easy game?
because they are very physical. And if you look at their lineup, they pretty much play the same lineup as Chelsea. You know, I think I was just looking at the lineup as I just woke up, and I mean, I really can't complain just because I think Tuchel has gone physical because West Ham is a very physical team. You know, so I think my only surprise is just I thought maybe Lukaku would have started just because he played like 25 minutes last game. But I think he just went to players that are in form right now. I mean, Havertz, based on the last few games, you can't really drop him. Ziyech, I've always liked Ziyech just because he actually attempts shots from outside the goalpost.
Yeah, and the only guy that does that very well in our team,
He's one of
actually.
the guys that does that really well, and anything could happen from that. You know, you could get a rebound if you're in the right place. So, I see Hudson Odoi is not there. I think Hudson Odoi, he's not bad. He's better in one-on-one situations, which taking on defenders, and I don't think West Ham will give you that much of a chance to do that because they are very compact. They are very physical.
You could argue that that's when you play against a low block team, that's when you need somebody like Callum Hudson Odoi, because we've talked about it as the show progressed. That he's one of the only that is the few guys, only him actually. You could argue that always looks to take opponent players on, no matter how deep you defend. And again, he's very direct. So I think he would do better for me in this game.
You do have a point there, but like I said, I think it's just maybe the manager's instincts, just based on how physical he thinks the game is going to be. I'm just glad Timo Werner is now starting because I don't think he's. I
host a party for that.
Yeah, I'm glad he's not starting because I don't think he's too lightweight for me, especially in a very physical game like this.
Okay, let me ask you this, Seed. Looking at the back line, we have Christensen on the bench. We have Thiago Silva on. We have Christensen on the pitch. Thiago Silva on the pitch, and Antonio Rudiger, the back three, you have them both lined up there. I was suggesting, how about moving Rudiger to the right-hand side where Christensen is, keep Christensen on the bench so we don't have all our eggs in the same basket, and then bring in Malang Sarr for the left centre-back position. I think with those three, with Silva in the middle, Rudiger to his right, and Malang Sarr to his left, you'd have a very solid defense, physically ready to deal with Michail Antonio and his physicality, because that's what I'm really concerned about. What do you think about the back three?
I think the back three, Christensen is the only guy in that back line that could play all three positions. So, yeah, I could see the risk of you wanting to bench him and, just to conserve him, but I think the manager is living for today right now. He just wants to try and win this and not think about the next game too much, because I think it will be too much of a risk to bring Malang Sarr in this game. He hasn't played much in the last few games, and I know I keep repeating myself, but just because of the physicality of West Ham, it will be too much of a risk to bring a guy that hasn't really played too much minutes in the last few matches. You cannot argue against dropping. Silva he's there as the conductor. I see Silva as the conductor there. So to just conduct that back three. So I don't really have a problem with that. The only thing I may have a problem is just the amount of minutes he's been playing. But this is a festive season and period, and that usually happens in the festive period. So I like that Loftus-Cheek is there because he's tall, he's big, he's technical. I like that Jorginho is fit too. So with those two in the midfield, we have a chance. But don't be deceived. This is going to be a very tough game. But
absolutely. And again, anybody that's been paying attention must have learned that whenever we face teams that play the same formation as us, we usually struggle. Usually, we need some change in the structure of our midfield to start playing well. So I do expect us to struggle a bit as the game progresses. So, Sydney, why we have just a few minutes to round off so that we can all go watch the game. What do you expect from this game, and what do you think the score line will be?
I just expect a tough game, but I hope Chelsea comes out on top. I'm predicting maybe another 2-1 win. Because West Ham won their last game. You know, they had lost the 2 previous games before the last game, and that was my concern coming into this game. If they had lost 3 straight games coming in, knowing that it's a local derby, they would be like trying to kill somebody to get a win, you know. But I think winning their last game a little bit put the pressure off a little bit. So it's going to be a tough game, but I see Chelsea getting it 2-1.
Okay, that's a good score line. A win for me. I would take a win no matter the numbers. So Ankit, coming to you, what kind of a game do you expect, and what do you think the score line would be?
No, I actually agree with my brother. Like, definitely, it's not going to be an easy game, and it'll be really close. I think the team which scores the first goal is going to be the winner, and that first goal is not going to be easy because West Ham have changed their formation. It'll be very tight, and like you said as well, Coachila, like I can see basically us substituting and getting in or getting on Pulisic, Hudson Odoi, and maybe Lukaku in the second half, and one of them to kind
Right.
of score the winner, and I can actually see us winning 1-0 away.
1-0 Chelsea. I do believe it will be. I still think that we will concede a goal, but I think we'll come out on top at the end of the day. And yeah, hopefully, and people in the chat, we want to see your predictions before we round up. We have just a minute to round up so that we can all go watch the game. For me, I think I'll go for 3-1 Chelsea. I think we will concede. I don't know why, but I have a feeling that we will concede a goal, but we will win the game at the end of the day. So, and I want to say special, I want to thank everybody in the chat from Stav to JVK, Just Viola, to Caleb, to Steve Chelsea, Strip Beer, the Queen herself, Matt from CFC chat, and every other person in the chat. If I missed your name, please, my apologies. And Ankit, please go ahead, plug in yourself quickly, and I'll also make sure to provide your complete information in the description section once the video is ready.
Yeah, thanks, brother. And yes, again, everyone watching, thanks for watching. And of course, do support Chelsea Perspective. Smash the like and share the link, definitely helps. And of course, my brother is working very hard and deserves all the love. Like, I would say that. And
Thank
yes,
you.
Almighty Blues FC is the name of the channel, and you can find Almighty Blues FC on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I'm active on Facebook as well. So yes, we do a lot of Chelsea and of late more of rival watch as well. So definitely some different perspectives that we are trying to bring apart from trivias. So hopefully, we'll again, come back live soon and have much more discussions.
Yes, people, look out for his complete information in the description section. And Sid himself doesn't have a channel. I don't know if he has a Twitter handle, but I'll provide his information in the description section also. But then again, please, wherever you're watching from, whether on Twitter, please don't forget to check out Chelsea Perspective YouTube channel and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. More importantly, click on the bell notification button so that you will not miss anything. And again, it is me, Coachila. See you all next time. Cheers.